Room. I was just chilling on my phone on the bed, and she got naked, like completely naked, nothing on, and straddled me when I was literally just chilling on the bed. But I didn't know what to do in like the situation because it was just like random and weird. Quickly told her, Sienna, get off. We're just friends. Stop. They're trying to make out with me. They're like just doing a bunch of things to me, and I kept on saying, Sienna, stop, get off. I didn't want to like be like aggressive. I didn't want to hurt her, you know? So I pulled her off of me, and it took like a couple of tries because I didn't want to be like too rough. And I went out of the room, and that was like the end of it. The next morning, where she was like, I'm so sorry for doing that. That was, I don't know what went through my head. I had to clarify again that I didn't like her that way. We were just friends. She said sorry, that was it. After that, these type of things kept happening. She would do something and I would forgive her, and she said it wouldn't happen again, and we would go on and making fun videos.
So, we have reached the conclusion of our trilogy, eh? The reason why I felt that it was pertinent to create my initial and original thoughts on Sienna Mae before I started talking about this one was because I wanted to make sure that we all kind of had an understanding of where I'm coming from here. Now, I am a man that attempts to be honorable. I try my best to not indulge in hypocrisy. Meaning, when it comes to these Me Too-esque situations, with as much benefit of the doubt as I have given in the past, I must also extend such grace here as well. But I will preface by saying I do mostly believe Jack. I think kind of wholeheartedly I kind of believe Jack. But to be fair, he could be embellishing, but I don't really feel that he is. And the reason why I don't feel that he is not specifically because there is indeed a little bit of evidence to show that our fair lady here, Sienna, does not indeed respect individuals' boundaries. And it's not the Me Too corroboration of multiple different stories of Sienna doing this to other people. I mostly believe him because Sienna most definitely has a bit of a hollow character. I'm not really shocked or surprised. In fact, to be quite honest with you guys, I mean, Sienna isn't even the first, and she probably won't be the last villainous 17-year-old that we'll see. Which I know sounds a bit goofy, but it's true. I'll bring this back up again later as the video goes on. So, because I just cannot be arsed to attempt to recap the situation that is this drama, I found someone else who's more adept at recounting teen drama to give you guys the uptake. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to do what I always do best. See the truth for what it is. Anyhow, she'll take us away.
January 20th, Jack Wright shed light into his personal life with a 17-minute expose video. He changed the timeline of what we once thought was a beautiful friendship. So beautiful, fans thought they were secretly in love. Breaking over 600,000 views in just 5 hours, and then 14 million views in a span of 3 days. What Jack revealed would change the life of his so-called best friend forever. Jack Wright and Sienna Mae are two 18-year-olds from California who rose to fame on TikTok. Jack is best known for being a member of the Hype House and boasts a following of 9.6 million. Sienna is known for her body-positive dance videos and duets, and she has 14.1 million followers. Before Jack reached his breaking point, there was a time he and Sienna seemed to be quite close. We're already 6 feet deep, let's f up the friendship. The pair never publicly confirmed their relationship, and it left a lot of people confused. The pair sent out mixed signals about their relationship.
Describe each other in one word.
Angelic.
I say joyous.
Jack, do you love Sienna for who she is?
I love her for who she is.
If this gets 20,000 likes, then me and Jack will get
We'll
married.
get married for the next video.
We'll get married for the next video.
Are you guys dating?
However, they claim to be best friends. At the end of 2020, Sienna was set to appear in the Netflix series Hype House. The show was going to focus on the group of influencers who lived together in a mansion in LA and would focus on the group's personal lives. It isn't known for sure if Sienna joined the house or if she was just going to be playing a role in the series. Because they were filming for Netflix, Jack and Sienna posted a lot less of each other on their social media accounts. Some were concerned, but it was because their content was exclusive to Netflix.
Hey guys, so I just really want to come on here to kind of address the situation, and I know that a lot of you guys have noticed in my comment section as well as Jack's comment section that, you know, we're not posting as many videos together, and there's really one reason for this, and it's just because we're filming a Netflix show!
By May 2021, the show had finished filming and they resumed making TikToks together. They were seen vacationing in Hawaii together. Ugh, I wish Sienna was in Hawaii. Wait. Jack and Sienna's relationship was adored by millions. They amassed over 23 million followers collectively, but entering 2021, the pair stopped interacting, and what was shared during this time changed Sienna and Jack's relationship forever. In May 2021, Mason Rizzo, a friend of Jack's, posted tweets exposing Sienna. Jack and James have been my best friends since kindergarten. I struggle with seeing a girl getting praised after telling my best friend to end himself and SAing him numerous times after he set boundaries and then repeatedly wonder why he doesn't like you back. She also has a history of verbally abusing people in high school and in LA. She prioritizes the growth of her platform rather than the positive message she represents herself as. Followers should not be an excuse to get away with abusive behavior. You guys all deserve to know the truth about her. People who claim to know Sienna didn't have the best things to say about her. Aw, remember when she called me fat at school last year? Yes, I've been waiting for this. She's a bully. I never with her. She also made fun of me for having acne. I went to school with Shorty, and I can confidently say all this is true and more. Who remembers that lovely video of Sienna saying the N-word? Good on you, Riz. Everyone needs to hear who she truly is. There's more to say. She's disgusting and needs help. Jumping out of a moving car because he doesn't want to go home, hitting him in front of large groups of friends, and trying to control who he talks to and where he goes. Mason would later delete the tweet, explaining he, Jack, and Sienna's families all agreed to handle the situation offline. However, it wasn't that simple. Lawyers were involved behind the scenes, and statements were shared by both Jack and Sienna. Jack's statement confirmed Mason was telling the truth and encouraged Sienna to get support and help. Sienna's statement claimed the SA allegations were false. Despite agreeing to handle the situation offline, Sienna had to have the last word. In a YouTube video, Sienna denied the allegations and claimed someone else was behind Jack's suffering.
I unequivocally deny the allegations that I Jack Wright. We both know what happened, and we both know who it was.
Sienna said she supported Jack after his traumatic experience.
I was there for you through the aftermath and all those depressive nights. I would be there for you as a good friend because I cared about you so much.
Sienna said she asked Jack to be a part of this addressing video, but he declined. Sienna accused Jack of staying silent due to his own personal gain.
He knew that this would mean losing his online girlfriend.
Sienna confirmed they are not dating and further explained inconsistencies in their confusing friendship.
I will never know if he truly loved me. Even though he told me he did, all I can say is that I was in love with him.
Sienna also called out Jack for not denying the allegations.
It's not your place to allow false allegations to be spread about me.
According to SOCIALBLADE, after the upload of her video, Sienna lost over 400,000 followers in 3 days. 2 days later, and she lost another 200,000. Unexpectedly, a witness came forward and shocked everyone with damning evidence against Sienna Mae. On June 3rd, Jack's friend, Lachlan Hanneman, shared an Instagram story that had the whole TikTok community in shock. The video showed Jack allegedly passed out on the couch at a party and claimed the incident took place in November 2020.
Jack.
After showing Jack on the couch, Lachlan explained he was a witness.
This is me in the white hat. I was taking care of Jack while he was unconscious on the couch. Sienna then hops on top of him, and I didn't think nothing of it. I started hearing noises and I peeked over my shoulder, and it was exactly that. I was so thrown off guard that I had to flee the situation.
Lachlan said they did their best to keep Jack safe.
Whatever their relationship was at the time, obviously this was not right. So I went back and took Sienna off of Jack. Not to mention, when I got closer, I noticed her right hand inappropriately touching his crotch.
When Lachlan asked Jack's twin, James, about it, they got a surprising answer.
I talked to James and Jack the next day about the situation that happened that night. And James said that happens all the time.
The Instagram story expired after 24 hours. Sienna quickly spoke up, sharing a video that would haunt her for the rest of her life. On June 4th, Sienna decided she would speak up about the leaked video, but it wasn't your average addressing allegations video. Sienna appeared agitated and angry.
I am a victim of continual attempts to cancel me and slander my name with false claims. It will not work. I have tried multiple times to take this offline, and I am continually undermined by Jack and his inner circle.
Sienna questioned Lachlan's video and Mason's tweet, seemingly accusing them of a false narrative because their posts were deleted.
If you present evidence of somebody being don't you think you should stand by it? You don't delete evidence.
Sienna then argued that what we saw from Lachlan's video was only half the story.
The clip of me kissing Jack, he is also kissing me. He was kissing me back. If he was unconscious, why did his arm move when you got up? My hand is very visibly on Jack's thigh, upper thigh.
She said Lachlan's video was clips edited together. According to Sienna, in the first clip, Jack was allegedly awake during their kiss, and in the second clip, Jack allegedly fell asleep shortly after they kissed.
Having your friends take a 10-second clip out of context of this entire night is not.
Sienna tried to explain their touchy-feely dynamic was part of their friendship.
Jack and I were very touchy-feely with our friendship. This is the way that we interacted with each other. This behavior was normal.
Sienna addressed the relationship again, this time with more details. She claimed Jack was sending her mixed signals and gave an example that happened the night Lachlan filmed the pair. Sienna said prior to the incident, they were at a party elsewhere and Jack introduced Sienna as his girl. It's unclear if Sienna took this as a signal to kiss Jack later that night. Sienna then argued there was no SA because Jack and James willingly hung out with her the next day and filmed a romantic video together.
If there was a problem, why did we continue to hang out? And why did we continue to film flirty videos?
I'm not really entirely sure where to start with this one because there is a lot to be said. If I were to start with talking about my opinions on whether or not these allegations are true or not, again, as I kind of said in the preface, I mostly believe it. And it's not just because Jack is sitting there crying, you know, I mean, if you're a good enough actor, you can make yourself cry. It's not so much that. But it is so much at the fact that, like, there is an entitlement to female sexuality that is very seldom ever really touched upon. And I honestly don't think that Sienna is an individual who was ruled by malicious thoughts. I don't really think so. I really honestly think that what happened was you have an attractive young lady that's probably hasn't really been told no very often, following the script of society, or the script of what men really are. Men being the lustful, sexual, deviant beasts that we are, who just need to put our penises inside of anything that shall allow it. Kind of does make it seem like it makes sense that a dude would just kind of honestly be head over heels if some young lady were to just appear out of nowhere, take their clothes off, and start trying to jerk you off. And honestly, as for why Jack probably wouldn't want to say anything, I think would be for two reasons. One, if he really did genuinely find this girl to be his friend, he probably didn't want to destroy her life. And two, it's because honestly, I mean, who's going to believe that some woman threw some vagina at him and he was like, no, I'm okay, don't give it to me. That's the script. You know, that's what has been projected onto us as men. You know, a lot of people think that men are incredibly lustful and we think about sex so often. And in reality, I mean, we really don't. It's just that we're overstimulated, I feel. And this is mostly conjecture, but I honestly feel like the biggest problem with males and our sexuality is we're a lot more overstimulated than people like to, you know, accept or like to give us credit for. And so while we are a lot more sexual and we have to be more sexual and intentful in women just by nature, I think people kind of miss the fact that we are just constantly bombarded with a lot of sexual imagery. Case in point, Sienna Mae's like entire TikTok, I guess, career, as you could say. Now, to me, again, the reason why I mostly lean on this kind of probably being more true than not true is because I understand what happens when you grant power to individuals that just aren't deserving of it. Sienna, again, was granted a lot of power. These guys are supposed to be on a reality television show in the Hype House, which honestly is a goofy concept in general to me, but I digress. You're granting kids, and they are mostly kids, like these people are, they're really immature. And I know Jack not really having the strength of character to really assert his boundaries and make sure this girl doesn't break into his house and try to sexually assault him. I mean, it's actually like quite a few many times that he's being assaulted by this girl, if these allegations are to be believed.
A couple of months I was stuck in this toxic cycle. I was stuck with her crying to all my friends, saying that I didn't like her back and why don't I like her back, and she would get mad at me for not caring about her as much as she cared about for me, but she'd also be doing these things to me. I would go see other guys in LA. So it was like, couldn't win at all. I couldn't get out of this. She would constantly come to my house, remember my door codes. It got to the point where I had to like start screaming at her to like get out of my. I would wake up and see her car just sitting outside at like 2 in the morning. She would break into my house, and when I was sound asleep, she'd come into my room and I'd wake up to her hand in my pants. And it wasn't like the only time it happened too. I was so like used to it. I was so used to it that I don't know, it was just like normal for me that I didn't think there was such like a problem at all. Like part of me wants to blame myself for being nice and sticking around after so many times.
But again, I don't really think Sienna is doing this out of like a genuine disdain or malicious intention. I don't think she's doing this to hurt him. I think the problem with Sienna's evil is the fact that she doesn't care that it hurts him. She's more selfish, and she's trying to more validate herself by obtaining that which cannot be obtained, rather than appreciating the things that she already has, which I'll probably reiterate in a moment. You know, kind of looking at these type of situations, there's a lot of, again, like adult and serious situations and circumstances that are affecting young people that just honestly don't have the tools and just honestly aren't equipped to deal with them. Because Sienna, I mean, for all we know, it could be dealing with loads of different types of low self-esteem, and that kind of thing is bothering her and makes it so she feels the need to try to get the attention of a man or a young man that doesn't really want her. Which isn't a defense, but more an explanation as to what could possibly be forcing her to constantly try to be with someone that doesn't want to be with her, despite the fact that she's having sex with other people. It could possibly be the fact that it's not even so much that she even needs Jack. He's just kind of one of the many. She just needs to constantly get her gas tank refilled because it's constantly leaking out because, you know, she's actually not really content with herself. Which is all kind of stuff I've talked about before on my channel and will continue to talk about because it's very important. But the thing that kind of really gets to me is the fact that a lot of tabloids or a lot of videos I keep seeing about this type of stuff really kind of remarks on the surface level. A lot of people are kind of stuck on the fact that we are supposed to stand for victims, and that's all true and well, and that's all good. And I'm actually a little bit surprised to see so many people believe Jack. I mean, Jack's video got like 20 million views. I find it interesting that so many people or so many comments are actually having his back. Because, again, Jack admitting to him being a young man not wanting to have sex honestly does open the door for a lot of people to say, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? Are you gay? All those type of gaslighting things, all those different types of pejoratives that are bombarded to young men when they talk about the fact that they've been assaulted by a woman. Honestly, I'm a little bit impressed at society or at the reaction. With Jack, on the other hand, I mean, I would ask him, maybe months later, the same thing I'd ask any young lady. I mean, if this person was constantly assaulting you, my friend, why did you constantly spend time with them, make videos with them, and work with them? You know, shouldn't there have been some type of trauma or some type of frustration? For him, he says it was because he kind of got used to the behavior, but that's neither here nor there. Truth of the matter is, it's probably a little bit more deeper than what I could know because, you know, I don't really know him personally. Who really knows? But the biggest problem that I kind of have here again is the fact that the situation itself probably shouldn't really happen. Because I'm asking, how is a 17-year-old girl able to sleep over at his house to begin with? I guess he's 18. I guess maybe he's got a mortgage and he can pay for his own home. But why are they having sleepovers at all? Where are her parents? Where are his parents? Where are the parents in this situation that they're supposed to protect their children from these precarious situations to begin with? That is including Jack's own parents. Where is Jack's own parents to protect him from being sexually assaulted by this young lady? Now, of course, the script does not exist to protect young men from being sexually assaulted. That's a bit obvious, right? The script doesn't exist to make sure young men don't get taken advantage of. The script exists to make sure that young men are not perpetrators against young women. So what happens when you have evil women that want to take advantage of young men? They just get taken advantage of. That's what happens. They get taken advantage of, and there's not really much recourse. There's not really much defense, at least in the court of public opinion. Which again is why I am thoroughly shocked and surprised that people actually have Jack's back here. But I think, that being said, though, it's still bizarre to me. Not bizarre so much in the fact that it happens. I mean, we've got shows like Degrassi, right? We've got shows like Euphoria that kind of reflect the large amounts of toxicity and nastiness that happens in the world rather than tries to encourage us to be better. So I guess I can't really be too surprised that teenagers keep finding themselves in these precarious adult situations. But I do think that we all as a society should be really bothered by it. Because honestly, I find it very bizarre again that Sienna is able to go to his house at all, being a 17-year-old girl, without the supervision of her parents or without any expectation for her to be home at a certain point in time. Where are the rules? Where are the guidelines? Where are the restrictions? How is she able to just move and flutter about? Not even just from, I guess, wherever she lives, to go hang out with Miami with their family. I mean, these guys are pretty well-off individuals, apparently, it seems. There's no boundaries set on this woman. There's no boundaries set on this. There's not really any boundaries set on Jack himself. I mean, Jack's setting boundaries, and he's not really even adhering to them for the most part. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure out, why is all this stuff even allowed to occur? Why is this stuff even allowed to happen? I don't really have any definitive answers for you guys. I can talk about how crappy parenting is now in 2020 or 2022. I can talk about different ways in society kind of elevates women to a standard or a stature that they don't really deserve. I can talk about all of that. But I think the number one thing that I think that needs to be highlighted here is the same theme that I've been talking about this entire time. And that theme is the elevation of people based on their surface level. The elevation particularly of young ladies without any interviewing of their character. Because if these allegations are to be believed, if we are to accept that Sienna Mae is indeed quite the sexual deviant, that means that TikTok and all the different followers, all the different young ladies that were swelled in by the body positivity message or whatever, allowed and gave power to someone that was so heinous that they constantly assaulted not one, but numerous people. And to be fair, it's not entirely their fault, or rather, they're not the only audience members that has ever allowed that to occur. In fact, there's lots of really, really popular people in Hollywood and lots of really popular people everywhere in every echelon of society that kind of abuses individuals sexually and has a whole audience to back them up. This is true. But it's not just that it's true, it's also that we as people still aren't learning the lesson. And of course, we're probably not going to learn the lesson anytime soon because I'm just some nigga on the internet. But the lesson is we cannot elevate people beyond their character, beyond who they are. We can't elevate people based on the surface level. Because if we do, we end up shielding and giving a lot of power to heinous people that will hurt other individuals. Sienna Mae is just a recent example that a lot of people aren't really touching on what the bigger issue here is. It is a huge issue that she's a sexual deviant, again, if these allegations are true. If these allegations are true and she's this much of a sexual deviant, she's this sexually entitled, she's this much kind of a menace to these young men's lives, we have two problems. One, we have a society where young men cannot effectively protect themselves against small women without using physical force. And that can very easily be overturned against them. I mean, if Sienna Mae was quick on the draw, she could make it seem like it was Jack was the one that was actually assaulting her. Heaven forbid she tries that route. But the problem is she could have done that, and there have been plenty of young ladies that have, based on the Me Too nonsense that we've been going on for a while. So it's not just that young men don't oftentimes have an effective strategy against young women like this, but the problem is, and this one goes more back down to societal level, we have role models that are just awful human beings solely predicated on the fact that they validate us. And by us, I don't really mean me and you guys as the audience members typically on my channel, but I'm talking about, generally speaking, the younger people, Generation Z or other millennials that are elevating individuals like Sienna Mae above everyone else, not because she's a good person, but because she's a pretty person and because she makes them feel good about themselves. It's all about selfishly validating yourself above the morality and above the character of the individuals that we should be looking over, and the individuals we should be elevating, and the individuals we should be granting power to and we should be giving respect for. Sienna Mae is allowed to do stuff like this not only because we have a culture that works or bends over backwards to protect women sexually. It gets to a point where it becomes an Ouroboros that eats its own tail. We're so used and so quick to trying to protect women that women themselves start actually believing the hype. I'm fairly certain that Sienna believed that she could take her clothes off and just jump on Jack to try to jerk him off. Because young ladies have been told that we men think about sex all the time, that we're always ready to have sex, and that if we're not, there's got to be something wrong with us. Never really anything wrong with her. And honestly, I think that Jack is well within his right to say no to any woman. And in fact, I think more men should probably stem to tell women no and not feel pressure to have sex with women, because having sex is a more difficult endeavor for us. Because that's another thing. Young ladies also can read the same messages or hear the same messages, and they can see reality for what it is, and they can think in the same way, well, since men don't really get sex a whole bunch, they should be grateful if I just throw it to them. Of course, that's not really fair to our autonomy as males. And the truth of the matter is, again, we don't really live in a society where we can effectively argue just how terrible of a message that is, and just how damaging it really can be for young men to try to navigate having relationships with women. Because again, the script is always we men who are bigger and stronger than women can just throw them off. Yeah, we can, physically. But again, while we may physically be able to do that, the problem is that can very quickly be flipped on its head, and it can be turned into us being the ones that assaulted her. And who's going to believe us when it's believe all victims and believe all women? It's very terrifying. Now again, in this particular situation, I'm not going to say it worked out well, but I will say there's a lot of people that do believe Jack's story. And the reason why is partly because there is evidence to Sienna not respecting Jack's boundaries. I mean, clear as day, she's kissing him while he's unconscious. And despite her different stories and her apologies or her responses to the allegations or whatever, who really knows, it's really hard to kind of salvage a video of you jumping on top of somebody and you kissing them and straddling them while they're not really moving all that much. You just kind of look bad. And honestly, a lot of people always respond with, well, if you reversed your genders, stop. You see, we shouldn't have to say, if we reverse the genders, you can clearly see how wrong it is. I think that in and of itself kind of adds to the problem that we expect young men to be perpetrators, or we expect young men to be the ones who are going to take advantage of young women. And instead of recognizing that evil is just evil and it can take many different forms. One thing that I will never allow us to forget, because we absolutely should not forget that, is the story of Bianca Devins. Because Bianca Devins was also a 17-year-old girl that was heinous. Bianca Devins was no hero. And while it's true she met quite the tragic fate with her head just about cut off, make no mistake, if that didn't happen, if she wasn't into this dark, snuffy fantasies and she didn't dip her hand into true evil on the internet, she probably could be alive and well and could probably be just like Sienna Mae. Well, maybe not just like her, But the problem is, when you elevate women who are not tempered by immorality, and when you elevate people in general that aren't tempered by doing what's right, you're going to have them cause a lot of mayhem and destruction. Maybe not necessarily physically, maybe not economically, but mentally, absolutely. In fact, there's a lot of women that are awful human beings, and I just mean terribly manipulative, terribly cruel and selfish, that destroy men's lives that most people, except the manosphere, don't ever really touch. And that is why I think it's important to really deep dive and kind of look at Sienna Mae, and why I wanted to make these multiple videos from top to bottom. It's not just about her being disingenuous with the whole body positivity thing and probably just using it to bolster herself up. I say probably, that's like exactly what it was. Come on, let's be real. It's not just the fact that young ladies are looking to their sexual imagery or looking to be sexual in order to garner a following and use their sexual power only on the surface level to just get clout and just get money. But it's also that some women can even do some of the worst things to men and not even recognize how awful it is because of the script that we've written for men. Sienna Mae may possibly, honestly, not think she did anything wrong. And that's kind of the whole problem right there. It's possible she did all these evil, selfish, different things of attacking young men, attacking them, I guess, sexually assaulting these young men, trying to get all these different sexual validation from them, and not even think for a second that maybe she should consider other people's feelings or consider young men's feelings, because young men aren't people that have feelings. We're just dildos, and we're already sexually turned on, or we're always sexually turned on, and we're always ready to go. And any dude would be lucky to have me. As she reads all the different simpy messages that she gets, I honestly can't say that it's out of the ordinary for her to really believe her own farts, to really believe the own gas that's been blown up her butt constantly. I can believe 100%. And again, these are allegations, so without any evidence, we don't know it's true. But I really can believe that she would be that entitled based on the way we treat young men when they get sexually assaulted, or based on the way we treat young men when they try to have relationships with women. Most people do not take young men's autonomy into consideration, and how young men may not want to be sexual with some women. I'm gonna be honest with you, based on the way Jack said he became friends with Sienna, yeah, I can completely understand why he wouldn't want to be with her sexually.
4 years ago in high school, she was dating my good friend, and basically it did not turn out well. She cheated on him 2 times, and it kind of like created this whole problem in her friend group. I'm the type of guy that's all for like second chances with people, and I always try to see the good in people.
Based on his account, like, in their friend group, she cheated on one of her boyfriends, so I'm pretty sure Jack, eyes wide open, maybe even forgiving her a bit, probably is like, yeah, I don't want to have a relationship with the cheater. It'd be cool to be friends with her, but I'm not going to have sex with someone that's going to be that liberal. Now, perhaps he wasn't thinking that conservatively, perhaps he wasn't thinking that far ahead, but honestly, it really doesn't matter what he was thinking. What we do know, or at least from what we told or what he said, is that he didn't want it. And that probably should always be enough of a reason to tell women to get off of you. But young ladies do not get rejected very easily. Young ladies do not accept rejection very well, oftentimes because they're not really rejected too often. And also because they've been hyped up so much that they believe that they're a lot better and they're entitled to things that, honestly, they probably really aren't. In reality, even if this stuff isn't true, Sienna Mae still never should have been anyone's role model. She's not particularly talented from what I've seen, so she's not really aspirational. And the only thing that she really can claim to fame by is just the fact that she's beautiful and she's just attractive. But the problem is, her being so attractive comes at the fact that she was actually just 17 most of the entire time up to this point. Meaning that you have someone that probably shouldn't be invoking sexual imagery, invoking a lot of sexual imagery. She never should have been elevated to begin with. And when you couple that with a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of power, and a whole bunch of smoke blown up your butt, I can understand the ego to where she can't even see that she's doing something completely wrong. Of course, that's not a good legal defense, and I'm not saying that it is. But what I am saying is, we as people, as individuals, as young ladies, usually everyone, young men as well, we have to start caring about people's character, and we have to stop giving power to individuals we don't know about just because they validate us, just because they're attractive, just because they're beautiful. We cannot take the beauty of women and give them things, because if it's not tempered by character, they're going to be awful people that destroy individuals' lives. That includes their own children's lives as well. We have to start elevating character above beauty. We have to, because if we don't, we're going to keep getting young men basically being sexually assaulted, taken advantage of, and hurt by women without any real repost or any real ability to protect themselves. I think, honestly, this is kind of something that's just on all of us as a burden. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure you guys got nothing out of today's video, but if you did, hopefully you go ahead and you click the like button. Yeah, shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.